The distress signal from New Haven Colony arrived at Earth's military command center at 0400 hours, but by then, it was already 12 hours too late. Commander Lisa Grant stood in the operations room of the ESS Valiant, watching the recorded footage with a jaw clenched so tight her teeth ached. New Haven had been a peaceful settlement on the outer rim of human space, home to 15,000 colonists who had spent the last decade terraforming the planet Kepler 442b. They grew crops, raised families, and celebrated holidays under alien stars. They had no military installations, no weapons caches, and no strategic value beyond being a testament to humanity's ability to build something beautiful in the darkness of space. King Zarthok of the Krillian Empire had reduced it to ash in less than 6 hours. Ego footage showed his flagship, the Dread Sovereign, descending through New Haven's atmosphere like a falling moon. Smaller warships had encircled the colony while ground forces deployed with brutal efficiency. The colonists had no chance to surrender, no opportunity to negotiate. Zarthok's forces had simply opened fire, buildings collapsed, fields burned, and when the humans tried to evacuate, Krillian fighters strafed the transport ships before they could reach orbit. Lisa watched a young girl, no more than 7 years old, running through the streets with her father. A plasma bolt struck them both. The camera feed went dark shortly after. Commander Grant. Lieutenant Peter Hayes approached her station with a data pad. We've confirmed the casualty count. 15,217 dead. No survivors. Lisa took the pad without looking at him. Her blue eyes remained fixed on the blank screen where the footage had played. Has Admiral Brooks been briefed? Yes, ma'am. He's calling an emergency council in 1 hour. The president wants a response plan. A response plan. Lisa's voice was hollow. She finally turned to face Peter, and he took an involuntary step back at the cold fury in her expression. New Haven had grandparents teaching children how to read. They had farmers who sent us pictures of their first successful wheat harvest. They had doctors, teachers, artists, and Zarthok burned them alive for sport. Peter swallowed hard. What are your orders, Commander? Lisa set the datapad down carefully as if it might shatter. Prepare the Valiant for immediate deployment. Full combat loadout. I want every weapon system online and every Marine ready for insertion. Are we going after the Krillians? We're going after their king. The Krillian Empire had been expanding aggressively for 2 centuries, conquering 17 species and absorbing their territories. They were a warrior culture that valued strength above all else, and King Zarthok was the strongest of them all. Standing nearly 8 feet tall with 4 arms and armored chitinous skin, he had personally killed the previous king in ritual combat and declared himself supreme ruler. Humanity had maintained an uneasy peace with the Krillians through careful diplomacy and strategic positioning. Earth's military was formidable, but scattered across dozens of colonies and outposts. A full-scale war would be devastating for both sides. That was why no one had expected Zarthok to attack New Haven. Lisa stood before the Galactic Council's emergency session, broadcast across subspace to every member species. Representatives from the Tazarian Federation, the Molari Collective, and a dozen other civilizations watched as she delivered her statement. King Zarthok of the Krillian Empire has committed an act of genocide against a defenseless human colony, she said, her voice steady despite the rage boiling beneath the surface. 15,000 innocent civilians were slaughtered without provocation, without warning, and without mercy. The council chamber murmured with concern. The Tazarian ambassador, a crystalline being named Velkara, spoke up. Commander Grant, while we sympathize with humanity's loss, the Krillian Empire is a sovereign power. The council cannot intervene in matters of— I'm not asking for intervention, Lisa interrupted. I'm issuing a formal declaration. She pulled up a holographic display that showed the Dread Sovereign's current position. Zarthok hadn't retreated to Krillian space. Instead, his fleet was celebrating their victory in the neutral zone between territories, as if daring humanity to respond. I am giving King Zarthok 48 hours to surrender himself for trial. If he refuses, I will personally hunt him down and bring him to justice. The chamber erupted in chaos. Ambassadors shouted over each other, some supporting humanity's right to retribution, others warning that such action would spark a war that could engulf the entire sector. Zarthok's response came within the hour. The holographic display in the Valiant's command center showed the Krillian king seated on his throne, surrounded by trophies from his conquests. Human skulls were mounted on the walls behind him. "Commander Lisa Grant," he said, his translator rendering his clicking, chittering language into flat English. "You threaten me with justice? Your species is weak. Your colony burned because it was in my path and I desired to test my new weapons. That is the only reason needed." He leaned forward, his 4 eyes gleaming with amusement. "But I am not without mercy. I will give you a chance to die with honor. Come to the neutral zone. Bring your fleet. I will crush you as I crushed your colony, and then I will visit Earth and show your people what true power means." The transmission ended. Lieutenant Peter Hayes turned to Lisa. "He's baiting us, Commander. He wants us to attack him in the neutral zone where he has the advantage." "I know," Lisa said quietly. "Then what do we do?" She pulled up a star chart and began marking coordinates. "We give him exactly what he wants, but not in the way he expects." The ESS Valiant was Earth's most advanced warship, a Dreadnought-class vessel equipped with next-generation plasma cannons, quantum torpedoes and shields that could withstand a direct hit from a small star, but it was designed for fleet combat, not the kind of surgical strike Lisa had in mind. She assembled her senior staff in the war room. Tactical Officer Daniel Cruz, Chief Engineer Karen Mills, and Marine Commander Jake Foster. "We're not going to engage Zarthok's fleet head-on," Lisa explained, highlighting the neutral zone on the tactical display. "That's what he expects, and he has 3 times our firepower. Instead, we're going to use the Valiant as bait while a strike team infiltrates his flagship." Jake, a broad-shouldered man with a scar across his jaw, raised an eyebrow. "You want to board the Dread Sovereign?" "Commander, that ship has 12,000 Krillian warriors on it. I don't need to fight all 12,000. I just need to get to Zarthok." Daniel, whose analytical mind was already calculating probabilities, shook his head. "Even if we get close enough, their shields will prevent transporters from working. We'd need to physically dock with them." "Which is why we're going to make them let us in," Karen said, catching on to Lisa's plan. She pulled up a schematic of Krillian ships. "Their vessels prioritize offense over defense. If we damage our own ship and send a false distress signal, they might bring us in as a prize." "Might?" Jake repeated. "It's a gamble," Lisa admitted. "But Zarthok is arrogant. He thinks we're beneath him. If we appear defeated, he'll want to gloat." The plan was insane. It required them to deliberately cripple the Valiant, fake a surrender, and then fight their way through a heavily armed flagship to reach a king who had personally killed dozens of opponents in single combat. But looking around the table at her crew, Lisa saw the same cold determination she felt. New Haven deserved justice, and if humanity had to bet everything on one desperate gamble, so be it. "We execute in 12 hours, she said. "Get your teams ready." The Valiant arrived at the neutral zone 42 hours after Lisa's ultimatum. Zarthok's fleet was waiting, 27 warships arranged in a predatory crescent formation. The Dread Sovereign loomed at the center, its hull covered in battle scars and conquest marks. "They're hailing us," Peter reported. "Put him on screen." Zarthok appeared, looking even more imposing than before. "Commander Grant, you came. I thought humans valued self-preservation above honor." "My people value justice," Lisa replied. "You murdered 15,000 civilians. Surrender now and face trial, or I will bring you in myself." The Krillian king laughed, a harsh barking sound. "You have 1 ship. I have a fleet. Surrender to me and I will make your death quick. I have a better idea." Lisa nodded to Daniel, who fired a carefully aimed shot at their own engine core. The Valiant shuddered as controlled explosions rippled through the ship. Alarms blared. "Damn it, they hit our engines." "All hands, abandon ship." The acting was perfect. The Valiant began listing to starboard, venting atmosphere from a dozen hull breaches that Karen had rigged to look catastrophic. Zarthok's eyes widened with delight. "Hold your fire. Bring them in with tractor beams. I want the commander alive." Lisa allowed herself a small, cold smile as the Dread Sovereign's massive hangar bay doors opened to swallow the Valiant whole. "Strike team, prepare for boarding," she said quietly. The hunt had begun. The Valiant settled onto the hangar deck with a groan of stressed metal. Through the viewports, Lisa could see hundreds of Krillian warriors assembling, weapons raised. They were taking no chances with their prize. "Seal the bridge and route all commands to my wrist unit," Lisa ordered, strapping on combat armor. "Jake, you have 30 Marines. Karen, once we're clear, I need you to get the Valiant's weapons back online." "How long do we have?" Jake asked, checking his plasma rifle. "However long it takes Zarthok to get bored." The strike team assembled in the airlock, 30 Marines in powered armor, each carrying enough firepower to level a building. Lisa stood at the front, her own armor painted with commander's stripes. She had modified it personally, adding a holographic projector and enhanced servos. "Remember," she told them, "we're not here to win a war. We're here to capture a king." The airlock opened. Krillian warriors surged forward, expecting to find a defeated crew ready to surrender. Instead, they found 30 humans who had just watched footage of children being burned alive. The hangar bay erupted in plasma fire. Jake and his Marines moved with brutal efficiency, each one trained for close-quarters combat in hostile environments. Krillian warriors were strong and armored, but humans were adaptable and angry. Every colonist who died at New Haven gave them strength. Every child who would never grow up fueled their determination. Lisa fought at the front, her plasma pistol cutting down enemies while her suit's enhanced strength let her throw Krillians twice her size. "Daniel, how long until Zarthok realizes we're not prisoners?" "He probably knows now." Daniel's voice crackled through her helmet. "His guards are mobilizing. You've got incoming from all directions. Then we go up instead of through." Lisa activated the holographic projector, creating a 3-dimensional map of the Dread Sovereign's interior. "The throne room is 12 decks above us. Karen, blow us a path." Explosions rocked the ship as Karen remotely triggered charges the strike team had planted during their advance. Krillian warriors screamed as bulkheads collapsed and corridors filled with fire. "Marines, with me." Lisa leapt through a gap in the ceiling, her suit's jump jets carrying her to the next deck. Behind her, Jake and the others followed, fighting their way through increasingly desperate resistance. Zarthok's voice boomed through the ship's intercom. "You dare violate my vessel? You are insects. I will crush every one of you. Come try," Lisa muttered, blasting through a security door. They fought for 37 minutes, pushing deeper into the ship while Krillian forces converged from all sides. Lisa lost 3 Marines to concentrated fire, then 2 more when a bulkhead collapsed. Each death felt like a knife in her heart, but she couldn't stop. Not when they were this close. Finally, they reached the throne room. The massive doors were sealed, reinforced with enough armor to withstand a direct hit from ship weapons. Lisa could hear Zarthok's guards assembling behind it, hundreds of his elite warriors preparing for a last stand. "Karen, tell me you got those weapons online," Lisa said. "Just finished." "What's the target?" Lisa looked up at the ceiling, calculating distances and structural weak points. "Fire quantum torpedoes. Interior barrage. Coordinates transmitted. Commander, that's going to bring the whole section down on top of you." "I know fire. The Valiant's torpedoes, designed to crack enemy hulls from the outside, instead pierced through the Dread Sovereign's armor from within. Explosions tore through deck plating and support beams. The throne room's ceiling simply ceased to exist, replaced by fire and debris and the vacuum of space trying to rush in. Emergency shields activated, barely containing the atmosphere. And through the smoke and chaos, Lisa and her remaining Marines leaped into the throne room. Zarthok stood waiting, his forearms holding massive war blades. Finally, the king growled, "A challenge." The throne room was a monument to Krillian military might. Banners from conquered worlds hung from the walls. Weapons taken from defeated enemies filled display cases, and at the center, surrounded by his elite guard, stood King Zarthok. Lisa's helmet display counted 73 hostiles, each one a veteran warrior who had survived countless battles. Her team was down to 12 Marines, most of them wounded. The odds were mathematically impossible. She didn't care. "Stand down," Zarthok commanded his guards. They looked confused but obeyed, forming a circle around the throne. "This human came for me. She has earned the right to die by my hand alone." Lisa stepped forward, removing her helmet. She wanted him to see her face. "King Zarthok, I'm placing you under arrest for genocide, war crimes, and the murder of 15,000 human civilians." He laughed, genuinely amused. "You stand in my throne room surrounded by my warriors on my flagship and you speak of arrest? Human arrogance is impressive. It's not arrogance. It's justice." Lisa drew her plasma pistol. "You can come willingly or I can drag your corpse back to Earth for trial. Either way, you're answering for what you did." Zarthok's amusement faded. His 4 eyes focused on her with predatory intensity. "I have killed 17 challengers in personal combat. I have conquered worlds and broken armies. What makes you think one human can stop me? Because I'm not here to prove I'm stronger than you. Lisa's voice was cold. I'm here because 15,000 people can't speak for themselves anymore. Someone has to. She fired. The plasma bolt struck Zarthok's chest armor, leaving a scorch mark but not penetrating. He roared and charged, his blades whistling through the air fast enough to create sonic booms. Lisa dove aside, her combat suit's servos giving her just enough speed. A blade passed millimeters from her head. She rolled, came up firing, and put 3 more shots into his torso. Zarthok barely slowed. He was massive, armored, and had the reach advantage with his 4 arms. Every swing could have bisected her. Every step shook the deck plating. But Lisa had something he didn't. She had watched the footage of New Haven. She had seen the little girl running with her father. She had counted every body in the mass graves. She had read the names of every single colonist who died. And that weight, that terrible knowledge of exactly what had been lost, gave her a strength that no amount of muscle or armor could provide. She fought not with rage but with cold, calculated precision. When Zarthok swung high, she went low. When he tried to grab her with his lower arms, she targeted the joints in his armor. She used the throne itself as cover, forcing him to destroy his own monument to get to her. And when he finally landed a glancing blow that sent her flying across the room, she got up. "Stay down!" Zarthok roared. "You cannot win!" Lisa spat blood and raised her pistol. "I don't have to win. I just have to make sure you lose." She triggered the remote detonator. The explosives that Karen had planted throughout the Dread Sovereign detonated simultaneously. Not enough to destroy the massive ship, but enough to cripple its engines, weapons, and life support. The lights flickered and died, replaced by emergency illumination. And through the damaged hull, visible through the shattered ceiling, the rest of Earth's fleet emerged from Quantum Jump. 30 warships surrounded the Dread Sovereign, their weapons locked and loaded. Admiral Brooks's voice echoed through every speaker on every Krillian vessel. "This is the Earth Defense Fleet. King Zarthok, you are hereby under arrest for crimes against humanity. Surrender immediately or we will open fire." Zarthok stared at Lisa with something like respect. "You planned this from the beginning. The distress signal, the infiltration, all of it was to get my fleet in one place." "You're right," Lisa said, walking toward him. Her armor was cracked, her body bruised, but her voice was steady. "I gave you 48 hours to repent, to show some shred of remorse for what you did. You chose to mock us instead." She stopped directly in front of him, looking up at the towering alien king. "So here's what happens next. You will surrender. You will stand trial for genocide. And every species in the galaxy will watch as humanity proves that strength without justice is just murder. We're not like you, Zarthok. We don't kill the innocent, but we will absolutely bring down anyone who does." The Krillian king looked around at his guards, at the fleet outside, at the human commander who had brought his empire to its knees with nothing but determination and a carefully laid trap. Slowly, he lowered his weapons. "I yield," he said quietly. 3 months later, the trial concluded. The Galactic Council heard testimony from the few surveillance systems that survived New Haven's destruction. They saw the footage that Lisa had watched. They heard expert witnesses describe the deliberate targeting of civilians. King Zarthok was found guilty on all counts. He was sentenced to life imprisonment on Earth's maximum security orbital facility, where he would spend the rest of his days watching humanity continue to grow and thrive, despite his attempts to destroy them. The Krillian Empire fractured without their king. Some factions sued for peace, others retreated to their homeworlds. The threat of galactic war faded. And on Earth, in a quiet memorial garden overlooking the ocean, humanity built a monument to New Haven Colony. 15,217 names were carved into black stone, each one representing a life cut short. Lisa Grant stood before it on the first anniversary of the massacre, wearing her dress uniform. She touched the name of a 7-year-old girl whose last moments had been captured on camera. "Justice was served," she said quietly. "It doesn't bring you back, but at least the galaxy knows that humanity protects its own." A cool breeze carried the scent of salt air and growing things. Somewhere, new colonies were being founded. New families were building new homes among the stars. And this time everyone knew. Humanity would not tolerate those who preyed on the innocent. Lisa saluted the memorial and walked away, back toward her ship and the endless patrol routes that kept her people safe. The hunt was over, but the watch continued.